Hey guys, welcome in. This is Rick from DFS On Demand, and this is the preview for the Wells Fargo Championship. A unique tournament this year, as the usual host of the Wells Fargo Championship, Quail Hollow, is not the course that they're going to be playing this week. Quail Hollow will be hosting the PGA Championship this year, so they're actually going to be playing this tournament at Eagle Point. So that means we have zero course history to go off of. We're going to use past history at the Wells Fargo Championship. We're going to acknowledge it, but we're not going to rely heavily on it. The reason that we're going to rely on it is it's a similar region. These courses are fairly close together. The grasses are going to be somewhat similar. The place in the schedule is going to be similar. So we can look at it, but we're not using it explicitly this week, so there's a lot to talk about. So let's not waste any more time, and let's get right into it. If you've watched any of these videos before, you know that I rely pretty heavily on my key stats, which I'll show you for this week. And these are the 5 that we're going with. So driving distance. The scorecard, I believe, has this course Eagle Point around 74. It can play about 7,600 yards, so fairly long. If you do the math and kind of figure out where these approach shots are going to be coming from, I found that the 150 to 175 range is going to be very important this week. Again, we always usually go with the par 5 birdie or better, which is right here. Gonna have to make all your money on those par 5s, at least in terms of fantasy points. We're gonna go with bogey avoidance again, kind of keep it pretty plain Jane since we don't have a lot of course history to go off of. But we're also gonna go with par 4 efficiency between the 400 yard and 450 yard mark. And the reason that I wanted to do this, this was a great find. A couple guys had this, but basically there's 6 par 4s that are in this range, which is highly unusual. That's a lot to be in a 50-yard cluster like this. So we're relying pretty heavily on those numbers as well. So what you'll see here, and he'll be the first guy that I talk about, Dustin Johnson, comes in with a 97.97 score for me. That's out of 100. So I've been doing these scores for players for about 3 months or so. So maybe 10, 12 tournaments. I think this is by far the highest score I've ever gotten on anybody. So, of course, there's no concerns about Dustin Johnson's game. He's clearly the #1 player in the world. You know, he's won, 3 times coming into this tournament. Withdrawals from the Masters after injuring his back. So it's really just a concern of how healthy he is. If you think that if the only way he tees it up is if he's 100% healthy, then why not fire him up? You know, it's one of these things where he probably wouldn't play if he didn't think he could compete and win. Seeing as he's gonna play this week, I will probably have significant portions of Dustin Johnson. Okay, right below him though, I'm gonna have my fair share of Jon Rahm, who, you know, we've been saying all year long, like, oh, he's a rookie, it's his first time here, we don't know what he's going to do, and he's been awesome, right? So the fact that basically there's no course history here at Eagle Point and no one's played it in competition, that really levels the playing field for guys like this. There's not like a ton of knowledge that Phil Mickelson has playing here 20 times as opposed to Jon Rahm. So I think this almost levels the playing field a little bit for the rookies or for the first timers in the field. And Jon Rahm checks off all those other boxes for me, right? Like awesome, you know, long hitter. He makes a lot of birdies. He's just been outstanding this year. You know how I feel about this guy, and I think this is a pretty good setup for him. All right, Phil will be popular as usual, but I'm kind of looking a lot at Adam Scott here. You're going to read and hear about a lot of Augusta National comps this week. So Eagle Point aesthetically is going to look a lot like Augusta National. You're going to hear that Eagle Point has brought in the 27-year tenure superintendent from Augusta National, and this place is going to play it might play very similar, at least aesthetically it's going to look very similar. It's a comp course that a lot of our analysts are kind of saying, so if that's the case, how about Adam Scott? Right? Like, he's won at the Masters before. He's coming off a T9 at the Masters, which is the last time he teed it up. And he hasn't played a ton on tour this year, but he's played well when he has. And he's a kind of guy who starts gearing it up this time of year, this stretch of majors, being ready for the players, getting it into major season. This is kind of when these top players want to peak, and it's when they want to thrive. So this could be a really good spot in the schedule for a course that might be similar to one that he has had plenty of success on in the past. So Adam Scott will certainly be making an appearance in quite a few of my lineups. All right, a lot of decent plays here in the mid to upper 8,000s. Rafa Cabrera Bello, 3 straight missed cuts, but I mean, if you look back at the last like 18 months, this guy's been having an excellent run. I'm shocked at the 3 straight missed cuts. I'm not too thrilled about him, but I'll sprinkle him in. Lucas Glover is a guy that, as always, when we kind of do these key stats, he shows up quite a bit, and it's really because he's really good on these 150 to 175. He makes a lot of par 5 birdies. He's awesome in this par 4 range, and he doesn't make a lot of bogeys. Like, that's a pretty good combination. So Lucas Glover, in my scoring system, right behind Dustin Johnson and Jon Rahm, that's pretty significant. But what you'll see here is Daniel Berger in the 9 spot. So Daniel Berger, again, while we're here on the key stats, does a lot of things right. Top 30 in driving distance. Really good on those par 4s, which is probably the only stat that's really specific to this event that I have in here. So you can see he's 6th in efficiency on those par 4s, and I just really like his pricing. So as a GPP player, looking to find someone who's going to be a contrarian, and Daniel Berger kind of pops out a little bit. Cam Smith and Kevin Kisner. How public are those guys going to be after being in the playoff of the team event? Cam Smith gets his first win. Kevin Kisner was unbelievable. He chips in for eagle on 18 on Sunday to send this thing to a playoff. Like, I suspect the public's going to be all over those guys. And Daniel Berger's just kind of sitting there like $8,300. Hey, like, what about me? I kind of check off all the boxes here, and I'm basically the same price as those guys, so he may go overlooked. So for someone who's trying to fill out GPP lineups with a guy who has a legit chance to top 5, maybe win this thing, coming from this range, like Daniel Berger kind of fits that mold. All right, here's a fun one. I bet that I talk about Soren Kjeldsen more than anybody in the industry. I'm not proud of it. He's not like a particularly awesome golfer. He just happens to always pop up in these key stats. He always shows up somewhere. So anyway, we've got Kjeldsen, who is $7,900, has had a pretty decent run here. That's 5 straight made cuts. And I've done this new thing. So this is something that I've been wanting to unveil for a while. I'm writing an article about it. And I'll give you kind of a sneak peek because I think it fits really well for this week. What I've been trying to do is I've been attempting to break the continental U.S. into regions and basically say, okay, the golf courses in these regions are similar to each other. Is there any correlation between how players play in certain regions of the country compared to others? So what we end up with, and again, this is a real spoiler alert here, what we end up with is something like this, where I've put together, I've mapped out every tour spot and kind of broken them into regions in which I think might fit a specific mold. So you can see we have a southeast region. It's that orange region there, which is kind of the North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia type area before we get down into Florida, but not far enough until we get to Mississippi and New Orleans. So that's the thought process here. And what I've found is there are some pretty interesting correlations between how players play in different areas of the U.S., whether that's their hometown, they grew up there and they're used to the type of grass and they're used to the conditions, or for whatever reason. But believe it or not, that southeast region, the king of the southeast region, is Soren Kjeldsen, who scores 45% more DraftKings points in that region than his average. So you'll see, I mean, he's terrible in Southern California. He's about average in Florida, but he really does well in the Southeast, the Northeast, and the Mid-Atlantic. Is this something to actually look at? I don't know. He's only played 23 tournaments that would fit this type of calculation, but he's still the best. He's had his best success in this region. So this is something that we'll talk more about as I kind of refine it and move forward, but Soren Kelton again pops up on our list. All right, we'll try to rattle off a couple more of these here. Hudson Swafford, he's another guy. Just checks off all the boxes for me again. He's my 5th ranked golfer. Top 30 in every single category, top 10 in 3 of them. 6 months ago, this guy had the longest active cut streak on tour. I think he made like 28 straight cuts. Then he won and missed like 4 straight cuts. So he's been a little inconsistent since then. So since the win at the Career Builder, you see, okay, he missed 3 straight cuts, but he looks to be trying to get back on track. He's got a top 10 at the Arnold Palmer, a 6th at the Shell Houston. Did miss the cut at the Masters, but this is the kind of course that sets up for him. $7,700, that's pretty cheap for a guy who has as much, fit for this course as we can attempt to guess. Let's see here. Going down the list. I'm always kind of interested in Shane Lowry and Luke List. Luke List will break your heart, but oh man, do I even have to talk about this? So he goes 68, and I was winning everything after the first round of Valero Texas Open. Backs it up with a 78. That's what you're going to get from Luke List. He's volatile, but he also fits the mold again. Brian Gay, I think, is really interesting. So Brian Gay is, the very popular story of Ian Poulter, who, the narrative was he was coming back from his major medical. He needed like 130 grand over 2 weeks to retain his tour card. He misses out on it. Now we know he ends up getting it, but whatever. But misses out on it. Brian Gay's the opposite. So Brian Gay needed, $200,000 to retain his card, and he basically goes out and goes T6, T6, and he gets it. So here's the success story. That is the flip side to the Poulter story. So 2 straight top 6s. I hope this course, if this course is playing super long, Brian Gay's probably going to have an issue. You can see that he is right here, 1/16th in driving distance, so I'm not thrilled about that. But even with that detriment, he still ranks as my 27th ranked golfer. Very, very good everywhere else, especially in this par 4 range. So Brian Gay is fairly interesting here. I'll be investing in him just a bit. Oh, okay. So as we get really down low here, I think that Matt Jones is interesting, but I think there's a really big pricing discrepancy, and I'll show you in a second. Did I pass him? Maybe. Okay, Alex Noren at 6,600. So I understand the recent form has only been okay, but he doesn't play a lot over here. He plays more on the Euro Tour, but this guy's like top 15 in the world golf rankings, so like the dude can play. But if we look at this, and we'll wrap up with this as we kind of always do here, and if we go to the odds to win this, you're going to see a couple of pricing discrepancies. We'll get to Noren in a second, but what do we have here? So Kisner and Berger, a little underpriced. Again, this is kind of the reason I like this. So Berger, who's $8,300, Vegas is giving him better odds to win it than guys like Simpson and Haas, who cost $1,400 more. Kisner's interesting. That just might be the public money moving him after last week. I'm not really sure that's a pricing inefficiency as much as it is public money. Will McGirt, kind of the same thing, $7,900. He has the same odds to win as Webb Simpson, who's $2,000 more. So that's interesting. Here's the big one. Alex Noren, 60-1 to win it at $6,600. The same as Emiliano Grillo, Kevin Na, who are $900 more. Again, Graham McDowell kind of falls into this range too, but again, he's kind of a public player, so I'm not like super stuck on that. Other than that, there's probably not too many inefficiencies. This is kind of the opposite way where, um, Glover and Cabrera Bello might be too expensive for what their Vegas odds are. So that's kind of the opposite version of this, but pretty interesting stuff here. So there you go. That is the Wells Fargo Championship. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, you can tweet me. It's at DFS On Demand or leave a comment below. Talk to you guys soon. Good luck this week.